Cowboys Nation, buckle up, because we've got a double whammy of news coming out of Frisco that could shake up the entire complexion of the Dallas secondary. That's right, just when we thought the front office might be done with major moves ahead of the regular season, the Cowboys have pulled off not one, but two impactful signings to bolster their defensive backfield. The Dallas Cowboys have officially signed cornerbacks Nate Hobbs and Ronald Darby, bringing in much-needed experience, depth, and versatility to a secondary that was starting to raise some questions going into the back half of training camp. Now, let's be honest. With Trayvon Diggs returning from injury and Darren Bland stepping into a breakout role last season, there was a feeling of cautious optimism around the cornerback group. But questions remained. How would Diggs look post-injury? Was the depth truly championship caliber behind Bland? What happens if one of the starters goes down again? Clearly, Jerry Jones and Will McClay weren't going to just sit back and hope for the best. This move signals one thing: the Cowboys are all in on making a deep postseason run, and they're not going to let thin secondary depth get in the way. Let's break down what this double signing really means and why Cowboys fans should be paying very close attention. First up, let's talk about Nate Hobbs. If you've been watching football over the past few seasons, you know Hobbs isn't just another name on the roster. Drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders in 2021, Hobbs quickly made a name for himself as one of the more physical and aggressive slot corners in the league. His instincts, tackling ability, and fearlessness in the nickel made him a standout player, even on a Raiders defense that often struggled to find its identity. Hobbs brings a certain edge to the field. He plays with fire, and he's not afraid to come downhill and make a play on the ball or lay the wood on a running back in space. That's the kind of energy the Cowboys secondary has needed more of, especially in the slot, where they've rotated several names in and out over the past few seasons without really locking down a long-term answer. Hobbs gives them that edge. At just 25 years old, he's still entering the prime of his career, and with the right coaching under Dan Quinn's successor, this could be a breakout year for him. Now you might be wondering, does Hobbs slide right into the starting nickel role? That's the big question. With Bland capable of playing inside and outside, this gives the Cowboys coaching staff serious flexibility. Imagine a nickel package with Diggs and Bland on the outside, and Hobbs wreaking havoc in the slot. That's speed, aggression, and ball skills at all three levels. Not to mention, Hobbs is an underrated blitzer from the nickel spot, something the Cowboys could weaponize on third downs. Don't be surprised if Hobbs ends up being one of the most valuable additions to this defense when we look back at the end of the season. He's hungry, he's physical, and he fits the identity the Cowboys have been trying to build: fast, aggressive, and disruptive. And just when you thought one move was enough, the Cowboys doubled down by bringing in veteran Ronald Darby. Now this one's interesting. Darby isn't the youngest name on the market, but he brings something this secondary desperately needs: experience. With nearly a decade in the league, Darby has been around the block. He's played in playoff games, battled through injuries, and faced off against some of the best receivers in the game. His technique, footwork, and understanding of route concepts are elite when healthy. What the Cowboys are getting here isn't just a veteran presence in the locker room, they're getting a plug-and-play boundary corner who can step in immediately if needed. Whether that's rotating in to keep Diggs fresh, mentoring younger corners like Nashan Wright or Eric Scott Jr., or just providing a stabilizing presence on the field, Darby's value goes way beyond what the box score might show. Darby's career has been a mix of impressive highs and injury setbacks, but when he's on the field, there's no denying his skill set. With stops in Buffalo, Philadelphia, Washington, Denver, and most recently Baltimore, Darby has always managed to find a way onto the field. His speed may not be what it once was, but he makes up for it with anticipation and savvy play. He's the kind of corner who won't get beat because he's out of position. He knows where to be, and more importantly, when to be there. Think of Darby as the secondary's version of a veteran quarterback who just knows how to read the field. He may not make the highlight reel every week, but his consistency could be the difference in those tight games come December and January. So what does this double signing tell us about the Cowboys' mindset heading into the 2025 season? It says they're not satisfied with almost. They're not banking on potential. They're building a roster ready to win now. Think about the depth chart for a second. You've got Trayvon Diggs, Darren Bland, Nate Hobbs, Ronald Darby, Jordan Lewis, Eric Scott Jr., and Israel Mokuamu who can play corner or safety. That's a room with size, speed, intelligence, and depth. That's a secondary that can adapt to different offenses, match up with multiple receiver sets, and still have the legs to play into the fourth quarter without dropping off. This is the kind of move Super Bowl caliber teams make. They don't wait until injuries force their hand. They anticipate, prepare, and act. Let's also talk about scheme fit, because this isn't just about plugging in names. Dan Quinn may be gone, but his defensive blueprint remains a major influence on this team's identity. Aggressive press coverage, disguised coverages, and a front seven that creates pressure without blitzing too often, all of that requires corners who can hold their own on islands. Hobbs and Darby both bring that to the table. Hobbs with his physical press skills and Darby with his veteran zone awareness, they complement what the Cowboys want to do on defense. They give the new defensive coordinator a lot of chess pieces to move around. Want to play man heavy? You can roll with Diggs, Bland, and Hobbs. Want to mix in some cover three and bait quarterbacks into mistakes? Bring in Darby and let his experience shine. This gives the Cowboys the flexibility to adapt week to week, depending on the matchup. And let's not overlook the intangible value here. Both of these guys bring attitude. Hobbs is a tone setter. Darby is a leader by example. Together, they raise the competitive bar in the DB room. That's huge. Iron sharpens iron, and now the younger corners are going to have to step their game up just to earn reps. That kind of internal competition only makes the team better. Remember, it was just a couple of years ago that the Cowboys' secondary was considered a weak spot. Fast forward to now, and they're one of the deepest groups in the league. That's a testament to smart roster building, but also to moves like this smart, targeted signings that add both talent and leadership without breaking the bank. Of course, none of this guarantees a Lombardi. This is the NFL, and anything can happen on any given Sunday. But make no mistake, this is the kind of move that real contenders make. You don't wait until the waiver wire scraps in Week 12. You act now, before it's a problem. You see a weakness and you fix it. The Cowboys have done just that. They've added a rising young talent in Hobbs who can make an immediate impact in the slot, and they've brought in a battle-tested vet in Darby who can step in when the lights are brightest. That's a win-win. That's proactive team building. And that's what gives fans hope that maybe, just maybe, this could be the year. So to all the skeptics out there still clinging to same old Cowboys narratives, take a good look at what this team is doing. These aren't flashy, headline-grabbing moves meant for social media buzz. These are football moves. Smart, calculated, championship-caliber decisions. And if the offense continues to click under Dak Prescott, and Micah Parsons keeps wrecking shop up front, this retooled secondary might just be the final piece of the puzzle. Cowboys Nation, get ready, because the 2025 season just got a whole lot more interesting.